Hello, this is David Baumblatt from Terrabins Leadership. Today, we're going to be talking about how the MAGA regime, or cult, however you want to talk about it, it is crumbling before our eyes. You're going to see it's going to get worse and worse. And there's also a caveat here. We'll go later in the video, but this is not at all a recommendation or a plug-in for the Democrats. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see that many MAGA people that have common sense, once they realize that Donald Trump or MAGA is not the solution, they're going to realize, one, the Democrats aren't a solution, and two, nobody else in the Republican Party is a solution. I'm not a big fan of J.D. Vance. We'll talk about him a little bit, and Marco Rubio. And then they're going to be left in a very uncomfortable position where they're going to realize there's two solutions for them. Either one, they're going to leave the country, or two, they're going to realize that the solution, one, it's going to get worse before it gets better, number one. And then two is the solution is not going to entail politics at the DC level. But I think a lot of the MAGA people have still drank the Kool-Aid, and it is what it is. But it's interesting. You're starting to see this now, that if you take a step back, you see the wars going on with the Democrats, Republicans back and forth, and you realize it's not good. It's like the WWF. Either side is not very good, and it's not going to be a solution. Hey, Shane, good morning to you. So let's just go through a couple things, news, then we'll go through the videos. But first thing is, again, let's talk about the MAGA. But I thought this was, what is it? Cat Turd, he blocked me. So thanks for supporting a military veteran. So this is Cup Turd. This is someone else, because obviously he's speaking negatively about this guy, Brandon. What's his name? Brandon Gill. He knows about me. His wife here used to follow me on X on my first account. So what's the point? These are obviously an Indian family. They have mixed race kids, and something to the point of this is the pride and joy of the future of the Republican Party. I'm going to tell you, sooner or later, you're going to have to realize that race is real. You go around the world, the history of time, race has always been a factor in the human history. I think what happens is for me, I wasn't aware of this as much until I left America and I went to China. Because again, when I lived in Germany and Switzerland, it's a European country, so I wasn't a racial minority. So until you become a racial minority, I'm talking about to a white person, you're not going to understand this. And once you experience that, you're going to realize, one, race is real. And if this happens in our home country like America, it may be too late. Now, if it happens like me, when you're a foreigner in a foreign country, well, that is what it is. China belongs to the Chinese, and it makes sense that I'm a racial minority. It's not my country. It's not your country. It's their country. But the point being is race is real. So anyway, this is the future. You could feel like who's being groomed for future politics. And again, he knows about me, this congressman. Yeah, thanks for your support. Anyway, here we're going to go more. It's kind of, you're seeing MAGA crumble before our eyes. So anyway, this is Dan Bongino. I guess this was also part of a military, or not, a MAGA support. The guy on the right or your left, whenever, has been convicted for pedophilia. And then I guess it's patriotic blonde, which is interesting. Some of these, so I'm clicking on this. Some of these, I don't know whether some of these people were maybe MAGA before, which you could say me. I mean, I was definitely supportive of the MAGA movement. And maybe patriotic blonde is similar to me, where she's becoming more and more disillusioned. That's my guess. I don't know much about her. But anyway, she sums it up. Two guys, one's a pedophile and one protects pedophile. I mean, this guy, Dan Bongino, what an absolute shitbag this guy is. A lot of MAGA people finally woke up to him. Probably still not, still some of them. Anyway, now we get on to this. This person hit it down. I don't know who this QE Infinity, but he's got a lot of followers. And what's he write? This guy, he's one of the biggest frauds, Dan Bongino. I mean, just an absolute fraud. And what did I write? He is. This guy is an absolute fraud. And I mention this because this is what I'm trying to do for MAGA, because hopefully you learn these data points. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, remember the COVID vaccine. Hopefully you learned something. What should you learn? Probably not trust the government, right? When it comes to your body, trust your body. But anyway, I remember how many people said that I had it wrong on Dan Bongino. He just didn't get the memo. He doesn't know about me. He's a good guy. He's all about patriotism. No, he's an absolute piece of shit. I mean, maybe for other people, but I'm telling you, his principles were wrong. But anyway, I could go on and on and on. Shane, if you're a white guy that grew up in the inner cities of America, it's obnoxious. Yeah. And of course, you got to remember when we go back to racial minorities, it's possible you're a racial minority where it's 49% white people. You're a minority, but let's face it, 49%. Or you're in China. It is less than 1%. It's less than 0.1%. The point being is the more and more you become a racial minority, the more and more the emphasis where you see it every fucking day. Again, in a foreign country, I have no problem with that. But I'm telling you, anyone with common sense knows. I mean, do you really think when the white population gets to 5% in America, it's just going to be diversity's our strength, man, hunky-dory, no problem? I mean, does anyone with common sense maybe still believe that stuff? Because like I said, I've changed radically living in China as a racial minority, but you've got to use common sense that sooner or later, and this is where MAGA is retarded and afraid to talk about race. We're going to go hear more of them, but race is real. So anyway, this guy, Dan Bongino, what an absolute shitbag this guy is. And here we go. This guy's on it. I don't know. His name is Darth Powell. I just found him. But look what he said. Let me make sure, yeah, everyone can see it. The United States, I keep saying this, was founded by men, right? That's who built America. That's who founded. That's who defended. That's who created America. White men, heterosexual men, Christian men, Western European men, to say that. Does anyone not see the common sense in this? You know, make America great again, maybe make America white again. That's probably a correlation, people. I mean, we have to say common sense. This is also the retardedness of MAGA. And I've said this many times. MAGA thinks these women are just awesome. These women are feminist whores. They know about me. Nancy Mason. Some of them, I think, served in the military. These women are whores. Now, why? Why would I use a term like that? And I say these women are whores and this and that? It's common sense. One, these women portray themselves like MAGA as traditional conservative women. That is a flat out lie. They are fraudsters. If you believe it, you're retarded. These women, congresswomen, make more money, have more influence, and have more power than 99% of men in America. These are powerful women. These are not traditional women. Traditional women are mothers. Traditional women are staying home, taking care of their children. These women said, fuck my kids. I don't give a fuck about my kids. I want power. I want influence. I want fame. I want money. These are some of the characteristics, like it or not, of men. Men have a little bit in this. These women are 100% feminist. And of course, they will absolutely defend women's right to vote. But on the flip side, that's why they're a piece of shit. They'll constantly say how they're the victims. It's hard to be the victim when you're the leader. These women are our leaders. Your tax money pays their salary. I don't want to hear victimhood from them. But to the delusional MAGA people, they will say, look at these traditional conservative. No, they're not. I am telling you, just like Donald Trump moved the needle and declared the rhinos piece of shit, I am telling you, you have not seen anything in America. The needle's going to move. These women are fraudsters. They are 100% feminists. Feminists. Now, if you support feminism, go for it, but that's not traditional. These women they should be home. If they want to be traditional women, conservative, they need to be at home taking care of their children. But they don't. They're feminists. That's what it is. But tired of this bullshit. Here's more MAGA bullshit for you. J.D. Vance. I'm not a fan of J.D. Vance at all. Look at him. JD Vance married. I don't know who these guys are, but they're on it. This is a okay. This is a Groiper guy. I guess this is a Nick Fuentes. I guess he's 6'5". Again, I don't know who these guys are. Can you see? Hopefully, you could see the screen when I did that. He's 131 IQ, Groper Catholic, whatever. But he says JD Vance married an Indian. Oh yeah, you're telling me JD Vance? This is our leader. This is our role model. JD Vance, if you like India so much, then move to India. He wants an Indian wife. He wants Indian kids. Then move to India. But this is the retarded MAGA people. They're like, these are our leaders. Nah, not interested. Then you have all more MAGA people. You get a guy like Vivek Ramaswamy. I am not a fan of his. People are saying about him talking about Christianity and that, hey, whatever you want to say about Christianity, I still go back to race. Why would I want a non-European man to be the leader of a European country? That's it. I could care less if Vivek, what's the word, adopted Christianity, gave up Hinduism and officially adopted Christianity as religion. Okay, that's nice. But he's an Indian man, and we don't live in India. We live in a Western country by the white man. Not interested in Vivek being my leader, but MAGA loves this guy. MAGA's fake. You're going to realize MAGA's fake. Let's go on to here. Now, we can't have a good episode unless we talk about the Jews in Israel, right? We need a, this is a kid who says, I'm Jewish and I'm British, and I'm never fighting for that. Let me just tell a quick story of me growing up. I don't get a lot of these Jews. And Jews are like other people. No one can really speak all for them. It's like speaking for the white people. I've said, I think the biggest piece of shits out there is white men, number one, and white women, number two. They're absolutely piece of shit people. They'll betray you. Same thing. I mean, why is our country going down? But anyway, just my little story of the Jew thing is, I've always said, if you're a Jew and you do three things, you'll be welcomed in the West. One, you have to admit, this is a Christian first country, the West. You can still practice Judaism, but it's Christian first. Two, you have to admit, uphold, and support that this is a white man's country. As long as you say the white man, it doesn't have to be 100%, but this country is ruled by white men. And three, you better protect freedom of speech. And if that means them talking about the Holocaust and World War II and Adolf Hitler, it is what it is. That's what freedom of speech is. You get uncomfortable. But most Jews, they kind of shit on Christianity. They shit on the white man, and they also shit on the freedom of speech. Well, ding, ding, ding. Why do you think they got a bad reputation? So this kid wants to really push his Jewish identity. I don't know. The more Jewish identity you push, people are just going to say, just go to Israel then, right? Just go to Israel. This is the home of the white man first. But anyway, do we have a Jew problem? I think we do. Here's why. It's getting weirder and weirder. So anyway, we're going to, again, this is the Jewish part of the show here for the next 3 minutes. And I didn't plan on doing this, but something just happened today on TikTok, which I'm going to explain, that we have to start admitting we have a Jew problem. It just is what it is. And I'm gonna be very logical, and I'm gonna explain this. So this was our first Jew clip. And I don't have a problem. I like Jewish people, but we have a problem. We have to admit we have a problem. Here I'm gonna explain this very simple. So anyway, that was the first clip right there. Let me bring this down here. I'm watching, but I can't get into Rumble weird. UTSO. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. So right now I'm streaming on Rumble, YouTube, and X, which was the weirdest thing. This has never happened to me before on X. I was suspended, my fourth account, and I told you I was suspended. And I was almost a little bit happy I was suspended because I was done. I feel like I waste too much of my time on X, and I said, fuck it. That's it. I'm not doing this anymore because I was not going to do a fifth account. I was done. If you remember that video, all of a sudden I was clicking links and I thought I was going to click to YouTube, but I clicked to my to my X account and it was open. But there was no, usually you'll get a message like your account has been unsuspended, or I don't know. There was nothing. It just said boom. And I thought, all right, so I'm still doing X now, but it is what it is. But we're going to do TikTok here. This is what happened. And I'm just saying to all the Jewish people out there who find this offensive, we have got to admit we have a Jew problem in the West. And I'm going to explain it today. This is weird. This is beyond belief. Another reason probably I don't get invited and I get censored, even though I like the Jews. I don't have a problem with Jewish people, but we have a problem. I don't know if it's Israel, the Jews, Zionism, but there is some type of problem in this area. Okay, let's go to the next one, and I will explain this. First, this is a pretty interesting quote, don't you think? I mean, John F. Kennedy, even though to my tough MAGA people, he's a Democrat. It doesn't mean anything anymore, by the way. Oh, you're Republican, you're Democrat. They both suck. But I have to admit, I do think highly of John F. Kennedy. I think he's one of those presidents, also a military veteran, which I get it. I mean, the whole military veteran status has turned to shit. But back then it was different. But anyway, I'm a fan of John F. Kennedy. So anyway, it makes you wonder, why did this person get assassinated? But that's a pretty interesting quote, wouldn't you say? Okay, let's go on to number 2. Now, can anyone guess? Can everyone see that? Okay. Can anyone guess who's the picture of this handsome man? So I consider him a handsome man. I don't know the men. Obviously, I'm being facetious. I don't know the men in the background. I assume they're German guys. But that's a picture of Adolf Hitler, okay? There's nothing else. Let me scroll down. Yeah, so there's nothing else in this picture. It's a pretty picture with a background. I don't know, 2 white guys. I don't know who they are. And you got Adolf Hitler. I thought it was a pretty picture, by the way. So guess what I did? I posted this picture on TikTok. That's it. There's no writing at all. Just this picture. And I want to explain my background in TikTok because a lot of people are morons. I posted this picture on TikTok. I'm gonna explain this real quick to you. I posted this picture on TikTok. Immediately taken down, and I've gotten my second flag for the account. I'm on my 4th TikTok account. I don't know again if I'm going to make a 5th for that. And the one that I had before was also of a similar nature. Now, let me explain TikTok, because some people are like, but those are the Chinese people, and that doesn't make sense, and this and that. So if anyone remembers, I see some people, Tony, John F. Kennedy thought more like a Republican. That's why he's dead. Yeah, I mean, Tony DeBeck, I'm not really into these labels anymore, Republican and Democrat. I think they're both shit. And I really think if you could go back in time, hey, interesting question. What was George Washington, though? That's a good history question. Does anyone know back then, did we have Democrats and Republicans? This is a history lesson I should know, but I would be interested. What was George Washington? But anyway, I'm not a big fan of Republicans or Democrats. I think they both suck. But I was definitely a big fan of Donald Trump. Technically, I still am a fan of Donald Trump, but he's gone to shit. He's gone to shit. But John F. Kennedy, I'd say a fan. Teddy Roosevelt, big fan of him. I guess he's Republican. Again, I'm not a major history major. But either way, I think you get my point. I'm sure we could find some good Democrats, too. I'm not big into this label. Democrats bad, Republicans good. Think about it. If Democrats were bad and Republicans were good, really, then the country always goes down. I mean, George W. Bush taking us into these wars. Again, I'm deviating, but either way, I think you get my point. Let me just do this quick. USAC, my VPN, which tells me Rumble now requires you to give all your info to get in. Not good. Yeah, we'll see Rumble. Now, I've been censored on a lot of stuff, but my Rumble count is dropping. And I think Danny Bongino is probably has a good influence over Rumble. We'll see where this thing goes. So I see George Washington was a Mason and a Christian. Yeah, I would probably say more important, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, probably are you a Christian? Now, again, I'm not a Christian expert. People say, "Are you a Christian, David?" I don't know. I've never said I'm an expert on the Bible. I've never said I was an expert on the Torah. But I do believe that Western society, but I can say I've never been an atheist. My entire life, I have never been an atheist. I am absolutely believe in a higher power. But I do believe that morality, that culture, that European culture, I do believe Christianity is a key linchpin in there. So having a leader, if you're going to be a leader in a Western European Christian country, probably good to find out how much you support Christianity. But anyway, let me go back. He did his departure speech. The two-party was very, yeah, I think the two parties is shit. Okay, so let me talk about this. Because again, hopefully everyone saw this right here. Maybe it's that. This picture, immediate flat, there's nothing. There's no wording. Literally, this picture was posted and it was immediately taken down and flagged because you get what's called a strike on your TikTok account. I think if you get 3 strikes, you're gone. I'm on my 2nd strike. The first, the one before was a similar sort of thing, like Nazism, but it wasn't. Oh yeah, I really should have showed you the picture. But if it was here, it was the same thing. There was no swastikas. It was just kind of, I wish I could show you the picture, but it's similar. Boom, taken down, strike 1, today strike 2. Let me talk to you about TikTok. If everyone remembers when I first went on social media, my YouTube video, everyone knows that episode 1 video. Remember the episode 1, it's everywhere. It's on Rumble. It's on X. It's the episode 1 video where I come out and I say, hey, my name's David Baumblatt, boom, government corruption. You've probably seen that video. That video was censored immediately on YouTube. I told you I paid $250 to get it advertised. It got kicked back and they said YouTube found this video to violate their conditions. They refunded me the money. It was immediately censored. And I'm sure the FBI also had something to do with that. That same video went on TikTok and it blew up. I had 10,000 followers on TikTok within 1 week. Within 1 month, it was over 100,000 followers. It was doing phenomenal. And I remember this. I started posting other stuff. Now, remember, this was 2023. I guess getting close to 2024, like winter time. Anyway, first strike, I posted something about immigration in the UK, basically non-white immigration. Boom. Second, I remembered in Germany, I posted something again. I said Angela Merkel. It was like a meme. Angela Merkel again with non-white immigration. Boom, taken down. Strike 2. Then it was strike 3, and that my account was suspended. I did count number 2, count number 3, and boom, same shit. So the same thing's happening. Now, here's what people will say. David, that doesn't make sense because Rumble and YouTube and X, it's all American, Jewish, liberal, like all that stuff. But TikTok doesn't make sense. It's Chinese. No, you don't get this. I've said this before. So hopefully by now, you know there's 2 versions of, for lack of a better word, TikTok. TikTok, the Chinese name is called Douyin. So they have Byte Dance, which is in China only, not in Hong Kong, but in mainland China, Byte Dance. And then they have TikTok for overseas. Same company. But the one in mainland China is a very different version. The one overseas, which I'm using because I'm trying to, I put my coordinates in America because my main audience are Americans. So I'm always putting my coordinates in America to send it in America. So going overseas is a different version. Now, why would they censor that? Because you might say it's Chinese. Here's the point. Make no doubt about it. The Chinese, when they do overseas business, they don't get involved in politics. Believe it or not, when they go to Afghanistan, when they go to Iraq, when they go to Iran, they are not like Americans. They don't care about your politics. They just want to make money. The Chinese government knows that if they are going to have I know this, I have people working it. And oh, by the way, yeah, we have ex-FBI and CIA working in TikTok. Remember the evil Chinese? These people will do anything for money, by the way. They don't give a shit, anything for money. And this is even before, technically, correct me if I'm wrong, I think TikTok America now is American run. I think it's run by some Jews. You can believe me now or believe me later. Here's the point. When it comes to the overseas, I say again, China doesn't screw around with your politics. They just want to make money. Now in China, that's different. That's their country and they own the politics. Overseas, they just want to make money. They don't really get involved. And if they want to make money overseas, especially on social media platforms, they, like I've always said, they have to go through the gates. And what are these gates? We know it, and we know it all well. There are these political, Jewish, whatever you want to call them, gatekeepers, that you are not allowed to post what you want to post on it. Now, I got one through. Before we get to the video today, we're going to do one more video. I want to make sure it's up. Let me take this down. So everyone hopefully remembers the Adolf Hitler post. Let me take this out. I'm going to get ready for the next one. Now, for this point with Chinese is this. It's very simple. They're just in it to make money. Now, people, these are the dumb Americans, are saying the Chinese is deliberately trying to put, you could say, trash stuff in America, whatever, sex, multiculturalism. They're pushing it down our throat because they're trying to destroy us. But ByteDance in China is very conservative. Okay, let me show you why that's retarded and you're wrong. So the first is we're going to do one last share video, and hopefully this should not be a surprise to anyone in China. Let me see if everyone can see that. 1 second. Okay, so hopefully that's not a surprise to anyone. OnlyFans is banned in China. And in fact, I told you my story. Most of my time in China was in mainland China. When I moved to Hong Kong, I still remember this story. I saw 2 Asian men holding hands. Now, the truth is Hong Kong is changing though. It's changing. For the good, for the bad, it depends. All I'm saying though, it's changing. However, when I first got to Hong Kong, I saw 2 Asian men holding hands, and I was shocked because you don't see that in mainland China. And I thought, what the hell are they doing? And then I finally dawned on me, oh, those guys are gay, because in Hong Kong, it's more loose. You can't do that. So anyone that thinks it's surprising that China bans OnlyFans or has a much more conservative environment. Oh, yeah, by the way, Adolf Hitler, all this stuff, they do it. It's not a big deal to them. They view Adolf Hitler, the Aryans, National Socialism in a positive. Hopefully, that is not surprising to anyone. So now the point is you could say, but David, they want to keep their country conservative, but they want to push liberal stuff on the West. You hear that a lot. Okay, let's use common sense for all the retards. Let's take China out of the picture. China's totally out of the picture. And the only people that are in charge of social media in the West are the normal Western entities. Well, guess what they're going to promote? The same bullshit they've been promoting for the last decades. The point being is if you say, look at TikTok, they're promoting pornography, they're promoting multiculturalism. You really think China is doing that? Take China out of the picture. That's what we do in the West. It wasn't until I got to China that I realized, holy shit, I found out a lot more information about World War II and this and that. So now my point is this. The censorship that I've gotten on TikTok, do I believe it's directly from Beijing? I don't think it is. Because again, this is not ByteDance, this is TikTok. And I believe, because I know I have got so for TikTok, they have regional hubs. So they'll have Dubai, they'll have Washington, DC, San Francisco, the London, but it's outside in Singapore. Singapore's a major hub. But if they know, TikTok knows that if they want to get into the Western markets, they have to please the Western shareholders, the power brokers. And what is the normal, you could say, the normal social media culture in the West? Well, it's pornography, it's multiculturalism. And you know as well as I do, you don't even need China. You start posting stuff about Adolf Hitler, good luck to you. So I just want to end there because, man, that video got censored fast. So what am I trying to say? All I'm saying is I did it growing up in New York. And no, I wasn't one of these like Jews. I always consider myself a white kid with some Jewish roots. But when I grew up, I never really contemplated of this Jewish problem, for lack of a word. And I like a lot of Jewish people. But now living in China, we have to admit we do have a Jewish problem. I don't know if you want to call it Zionism, maybe it's Israel, maybe it's the global elites that are Jews, but I can tell you something to all my Negro friends out there. If you think you're the most protected class when the word nigger is used, I got news for you, no way. I truly believe the most protected class is you start doing anything of anti-Semitism, the Holocaust, Adolf Hitler. And now I'm not saying I would agree. And I've said many times, I believe the word nigger is an impolite word. And generally speaking, unless you're angry or unless you're trying to tell a joke, don't use the word, but it's your free speech. Do what you want. So my point is with the Holocaust and stuff, I'm not even getting into whether I agree or disagree. The point being is we're either going to have free speech or we're not going to have free speech. But if you ask me what is the highest level of prohibition in terms of free speech, you start talking about Jew stuff, not good, not good. But man, let me go through Rachel Hawk. I don't know what OnlyFans is. Rachel, one of the guys, it's prostitute. Really? You don't know? Hell, I don't even live in America. I know what OnlyFans is. I don't know. It's a social media platform where girls basically become prostitutes and earn, and they can become what's the word I'm looking for? An entrepreneur, a sole proprietary of prostitution. And that's another thing too. I look at all this stuff as prostitution. Yeah, and that's another thing too. You want to have a real curveball for MAGA? I'm not a big fan of Melania Trump. Everyone looks at her as this elegant woman. Nah, I know enough about Eastern Europe, the Slavic people. Yeah, she's from a very poor Slavic village. She went to New York to make money, money, money. And she used sex to make that money. I guarantee she was doing escorting or even modeling itself is a form of prostitution. She saw Big Donald with ching, 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 and she's like, I'll give sex, you give me money. But this sort of thing, like she's some type of princess or she's got this regalness. No, I'm just not into that. I mean, a lot of stuff about her. Again, give it time. You're going to see this MAGA fall apart. But anyway, Rachel, OnlyFans is basically legalized prostitution. That's probably the best. I see you. I'm still banned on Instagram. Yeah, I mean, I've been banned on Facebook twice, which would include my Instagram. Also, at one time blew up. I'm done. Like I said, I'm just surprised that X all of a sudden I'm back on. But if I was suspended for the 4th time, that's it. I'm not doing it anymore. Okay, let's go in today's video, and we're going to talk about today's topic is going to be very simple. And now remember, I've always said it. I still believe Donald Trump is the best president in my entire lifetime. Why? Because the choices aren't very good, people. The choices are not very good. But he is deviating more and more from America first and nationalism. And I believe the corruption's through the roof. Don't believe me? Watch these videos. We're going to see it. But I think a lot of Americans are going to realize that you don't have many choices. Meaning, and I think Donald Trump knows it. And I've said this before. I think he knows he's got you by the balls. Meaning, if you're not satisfied with Donald Trump, what are you going to do? Vote for the Democrats? And that's where you realize this system is not going to work out. It's not going to work out. All right, let's go to the first video here and just recount it. on what's going on. Now, what's interesting with this video, this is Benny the Bagel, Benny Shapiro, Benny the Bagel from New York. What did I say? When you get people from two different political ideologies and they agree on something, that's a key point. I actually don't have a problem with Benny the Bagel. The only problem I have is he should start his show, or there should be a moniker on it that says Israel first. There's nothing wrong. Now, he shouldn't be part of the government. He should not have any type of influence over our government, monetary, but we're going to assume Benny the Bagel is a private citizen, which he's not. But he should just have a moniker that says, I am Israel first. So that way it shows to the audience, because again, there's a lot of things I don't disagree with Benny the Bagel, but we all have to agree Benny is a super Jew, meaning he is Israel first and America second. That's not that bad on paper, as long as you're a private individual, and as long as technically this is what the FBI would investigate, that would be foreign influence. As long as Benny the Bagel would say, hi, my name's Benny the Bagel. Before the program begins, I just want to tell you I am Israel first. Okay, let's begin the program. That's not so bad. I can deal with that. But anyway, watch this. You're going to start seeing Benny the Bagel and this other guy agree with it. And guess what? I agree with it too. Let me go through it here. Start. 1 second. Where is it? All right, right here.
Well, I believe that President Trump's second term will largely be disqualified based on what I see as unprecedented corruption. And while I believe that corruption is present on both sides of the aisle, I think it has been all caps with Trump, enriching their kids, deals that seem to be quid pro quo that directly enrich the president. What I believe is the greatest example of insider trading on any scale that's taking place around geopolitical movements and unusual options trading. And I want to be clear, I don't have proof of that yet. I have proof something is going on. I don't have proof who's doing it. But it does feel like the level of corruption, the quid pro quo here, the just naked attempt to leverage the office and the full faith in credit and power of the U.S. government to enrich him and his allies is beyond anything we have ever seen.
The comprehensive Trump years series, I mean, we're in season 11 of Trump. And I will say that every year adds new and strange wrinkles, both good and bad. I mean, I used to do a routine on the show called Good Trump, Bad Trump, which one will we get today? It had like a little jingle and everything. And so, you know, at the same time that I'm extraordinarily praiseworthy of the president's foreign policy, particularly.
Notice Benny the Bagel. Benny loves Trump's foreign policy. Yeah, I mean, this war, if you are America first and you think this Iran war is good, you're a moron. But I've always said from Israel's point of view, this war. So Benny the Bagel should just say, hey, by the way, I'm Israel first. Therefore, I think Trump's foreign policy with Iran is great. If you're America first, oh, this war is absolutely retarded. But anyway, Benny, like I said, Benny just needs to have that label that just says, as long as he has that label that says Israel first, I would give him a lot more credit.
In the Middle East, when it comes to, you know, the way that he has treated the crypto industry, or when it comes to, you know, members of his family who have been, I think, you know, operating in ways that if their last name were Biden, I would be screaming about. So I try to be fair about that. Yes, I think that will be part of the story too.
Okay, so the point being, and look at Benny. I forgot the other guy. He's a pretty famous guy too that's been on talk shows. And I think the other guy he's a pro-Democrat. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, I'm not pro-Democrat, and I hopefully I've given a little pushback on Benny the Bagel, but he's right. The corruption with Trump, and I think Trump specifically did not want his children to be in the government in an administrative capacity. Why? That gives him a loophole, because there's children now are in a private capacity. Same thing with his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. That gives him a loophole. It would have been better if he would have put him in the administration, because now they'll have much more guidelines that they have to abide by in terms of ethics. But why believe what's happening with Trump and his children? And of course, again, the military industrial complex, they want a war. They could care less if the war's with Iran, with China. They just need a war to make money. But I truly believe the corruption is going through the roof. And I think to most Americans, I think you're probably sitting here and thinking, what do I do? It really is. I'm telling you, at the end of the day, you'll realize that once power becomes so much of absolute. Here, let me give this point. I went through the other videos. are you starting to realize that even like I talked about the FBI's reputation has just turned into dog shit? Now we're going to do leadership. Have you ever realized that now the government is getting so corrupt that they either don't care that you know about their corruption, or on other sides, they're getting so incompetent and they're not embarrassed. So one, they're not afraid that the corruption now is being revealed, and they're not embarrassed. I use that word a lot. I mean, I'm embarrassed with the white man. They're not embarrassed anymore. There's two elements to this. One is to be called a cuck, and the other is to be called a tyrant. They're both there. I'm going to give you an example. It's kind of like in the embarrassment. It's like, hey, dude, why are you letting your wife get banged in a gangbang every weekend so everyone can see? I don't care. I'm a cuck. You're seeing that more. You're seeing that more in America. And I've heard this too. When I got on social media in 2023, I said, hey, I need help. Can you help me? Government. And more Americans, I heard this, dude, I don't care anymore. I don't care. No one cares about you. No one cares. So it's kind of like the cook. It's like, hey, don't you care anymore about your reputation, your family name, the legacy, the institutions of West Point, your wife? And more people are just like, and I'm emphasizing white men. I don't give a fuck. Like you could tell they've just given up. They don't care. No one cares about people anymore. That's not good. Or the other thing is, now we're talking about, again, these entities that are so powerful. Picture a person, I'm trying to make it simple. Picture a man or a woman that has a very high level sexual market value. And the dating game of men and women say, you know something, you have a really bad attitude. In fact, you're a dick. Don't you care? Like you walk around like you're so great. Don't you care? It's like, I really don't care. There's a line of girls, or if you're a girl, there's a line of guys waiting out, lined up a mile long. You're replaceable. I don't care. And that's absolute power. So the point being is our government, what are you going to do? Like literally, like all of a sudden there's proof now of what happened, corruption. Even John F. Kennedy, what if all the proof came that it was an inside job, which we're probably, here's all the proof John F. Kennedy was assassinated through our government, through what? Okay, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Nothing, right? That's the point. They're realizing that the American man, particularly the American white man, is getting so weak that one, the level of corruption can go higher and higher because you're not going to do anything. You're not. What are you going to vote? Yeah, have fun with voting. You're not going to do it. Are you going to pay your taxes? You're going to pay your goddamn taxes because you don't want to get in trouble. So that's that level of corruption where you're starting to see and you're like, these people don't even care. They don't. Or you get from an embarrassment. If J. Edgar Hoover was alive today, he would look at the FBI as a complete fucking embarrassment. So then you wonder, though, why, though, is there another reason? Maybe it's not because they're tyrannical. It's because what? That's the definition of a cuck. A cuck allows his wife to get banged by other men in front of people, and he doesn't care. So that's why, what did I keep telling you about people working in the government? Paycheck, pension, duty, honor, country, those days are done. Those are long gone. They don't care. So if you look at an FBI agent, a CIA, a West Point officer, and they say, you know something, your absolute organization is a laughingstock. It's a joke. Don't you care? Do I get my paycheck and pension? Yes. Then I don't. I don't care. That's Cox. We'll do other videos, but I'm telling you, you're going to see the system is going to get worse and worse and worse until you realize that more and more Americans are going to realize they're either going to have to leave or it's going to get violent. Okay, let's keep going on a couple more of these.
The day Trump chose foreign wars over American lives, America's downfall began. Watch this.
Trump and his family have made over $9 billion in his presidency. The corruption in this administration is out of control. And we saw again last week that there were suspiciously timed market trades right before Donald Trump made statements relating to the Iran war.
Representative Ted Lieu just dropped a bombshell allegation claiming that Donald Trump and his family have made over $9 billion during his presidency through alleged insider trading and corruption. $9 billion. While America burns and they make profit, could mean more money flowing into the pockets of the powerful while ordinary Americans pay the price. Your taxes fund the war, your sons and daughters fight the war, and they allegedly trade stocks and cash checks because of the war. This isn't leadership, it's corruption. This isn't patriotism, it's betrayal. This would be one of the most brutal betrayals in American history, using the presidency not to protect Americans, but to enrich elites while the nation collapses. Americans deserve answers, because if politicians can use the presidency to enrich themselves while the people suffer, then what's left of democracy?
Like I said, I think it would be absolutely funny, all these MAGA cult people that are into this war in Iran. I've said many times, I hope Trump doesn't taco out, which is a horrible leadership trait, by the way, to get. I hope he does a full ground invasion followed by the military draft. You do a military draft, I'm going to love to see the faces on these MAGA people who are like, going to war with Iran is important. It's part of national security. We need to do this. Draft is on, sign up, and you're going to see these people talk out their asshole on why they can't go to war. It's just, it's a joke. Anyway, so here we're going to go, but don't worry. I'm not on the bandwagon of these Democrats. We got a video later, but if you even think I'm shifting political and saying the Democrats are the answer, don't even assume that. That's not happening. But anyway, let's watch a little more on this.
In the Middle East, apparently, how much do you guys know about Jared Kushner? Ivanka's husband. He's on the Saudi payroll for $2 billion. Did you know that? And now he's leading American diplomacy in the Middle East, apparently while at the very same time asking princes and sheikhs across the Arab world to give him billions more. If you're watching this online, don't take my word for it. Look it up for yourself. Can you imagine like a normal sitting U.S. ambassador just hitting up Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for billions of dollars? But he's a Trump, a royal, a princeling. The rules are for us, not for them. And it's not just Jared getting in on the action. A company owned in part by Eric and Don Jr. has been pitching Gulf kingdoms on its drone interceptors during this war. The Financial Times reported, quote, Pete Hegseth's broker looked to buy defense fund before Iran attack. I tell you what, never before.
Anyway, the point being is Jared Kushner, a private individual who's also the son-in-law of the president, on making deals of a foreign policy on behalf of the government as a private individual. If that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what. But this is where the MAGA people will just do. Are you kidding me? No. My view of Jared Kushner, no. If you want to do that, if you want to go in I left the government because I wanted to go into the private sector. If you want to go in the private sector, go. But this sort of deal, and this is what's happening. I mentioned this too about the Boeing Corporation, about Amazon, how they're being fused more and more. And that means American taxpayer money. So Jared, if you want to work in private equity in the private sector, go for it. But then Donald Trump picks him. It's an inside job. It's his son-in-law, because Donald Trump's going to make money out. And he, as a private citizen, allows to basically lobby on behalf of the U.S. government, which at the same time will enrich his private firm. If anyone looks at that and says, well, I don't see a problem with that, well, then I'm just happy you pay your taxes and I don't. But I think that is the most retarded thing I've ever seen. Anyway, let's keep going on this thing one more time.
Do you think it's a coincidence that Don Jr. is on the board of Polymarket, the betting entity? Before it was public knowledge that we're at war with Iran, somebody made $500,000 on Polymarket. Jr. is on the board of multiple publicly traded companies, not just publicly traded companies, drone defense companies. 71 minutes before the news broke publicly about the United States being at war with Iran, a Parley market account named MAGA My Man made a single day bet. $70-ish thousand bet turned into $550,000. Where are the investigators here? The DOJ had investigations into Parley market that were dropped once Trump took office.
So let me, I was just reading the Hawk there. 1 second. Rachel Hawk, you said you can't hear the clip. I want to do this clip right here to show a balance. So again, what did I keep saying? Don't even consider me on the bandwagon of the Democrats. Just watch this clip and you could realize who's going to vote for the, I mean, there'll be people, there'll be moron Americans, Democrat, this and that, but you think the Democrats are going to save us? This is Gavin Newsom's wife. What a dodo bird this woman is.
California Governor Gavin Newsom's wife has been in hot water lately. Jennifer Newsom has faced backlash over a number of resurfaced videos that have gone viral. Yeah, that's right. Her comments on a number of topics, including giving her son dolls and relationship advice from same-sex couples. Newsom's latest controversy revolving around telling prisoners at San Quentin about running over and killing her sister with a golf cart. Correspondent Heather Meyer standing by in San Diego with more. Heather.
Well, good afternoon to you. I should say good morning to you, Edie and Sean. This is interesting because it is no secret that California Governor Gavin Newsom and his wife, Jennifer Siebel Newsom, they have their eyes set on the White House. Well, Jennifer Siebel Newsom is also a documentary filmmaker, and she's hyper-focused a lot of her film content on what she calls gender stereotypes. She's also raising 2 boys and 2 girls, and she talked about that during an interview. Listen to this.
If I'm reading a book and the protagonist is a male, I just change the he to a she. And it just normalizes for my sons in particular. I don't even just do it for my girls. I do it for my sons because I want them to see that women can be the center of a story.
Well, critics online, including Riley Gaines, slammed her for that comment, saying being a boy is not a disease that needs to be treated. Then in another interview that's also making the rounds online, Jennifer talks about a childhood tragedy involving the death of her older sister. Jennifer was only 6 when the golf cart that she was sitting in reversed into her 8-year-old sister, killing her. Well, critics say she used that horrible accident to try to relate to prisoners who are serving time at San Quentin. That's a maximum security prison for the worst of the worst California criminals.
And I think it shocked them that this, blonde lady who was, interviewing them had a similar story.
This is, I'll tell you, growing up in New York, this is something my father would talk about. Look at her, look at the guy. They look like really good-looking white people, liberals, Ivy League colleges, and they live in a fairyland. Just a bunch of fucking weirdos. But anyway, yeah, these Democrats, not. But if you just look at her, she looked, a good-looking white woman, probably spoiled, rich family, and they want equality and communism for everyone. But then they themselves, they want to be rich as hell, just rich as hell. But anyway, like I said, I think if you don't want, again, I'm not into voting. We'll save that for last. We're going to save the best for last. And I think this person probably should have ran for president. But if you think voting is going to solve this problem, you're crazy. But anyway, we'll go back to this. But don't these liberals, though, are similar to that? I got to admit, I did like Donald Trump, even though you could say he's the rich, but he had that rawness, that raw, and he did have a little bit more of that common sense from a business guy, even though he's making a shitload of money illegally off the government. But I do think we like that raw businessman talking, where these liberals just live in cloud 9 and they say something, but they do another thing, like open borders, and then they live in their gated community. Anyway, we'll finish this, but she reminds me of that type of girls. I remember in New York, a lot of this stuff, just retarded.
Was perhaps in the wrong place at the wrong time, but wasn't punished the way they were, because clearly it was an accident, but theirs was probably an accident too.
Well, that video racked up more than 7,000 comments on X, with many users questioning why she would suggest that criminals serving time for things like murder and rape could be described as an accident too. Then there's yet another clip from a past interview where Jennifer is taking on evangelical conservatives.
Folks on the far right, they're missing is just this. They're living in this silo, this
Okay, so I would be considered the far right. I want to see what I'm missing: education, international experience, military, business. I want to see what, because anyone, now remember though, I am considered far right, white supremacist. But what would I be considered in America 100 or 200 years ago? Normal. So me in America 100 to 200 years ago, normal. Also, what am I considered in the non-Western countries like China? Normal. It's fascism. So I'm not still saying I'm right. We could all be wrong. But the point being is, when we'll let this liberal lady, talk to us like she's a teacher and tell us what's wrong with the far right. But make it known, my views 100 to 200 years ago in America, normal. My views right now in the non-Western world, also to include Israel, I don't have a problem how Israel's doing. I don't have a problem how Israel government is. I've said many times, Israel has never betrayed us. The American government has betrayed us. So even in Israel. So it's just an interesting point, but let this liberal educated woman try to educate us here.
evangelical conservative silo that ultimately it's just pulling us back as a country to a time and a place where we don't deserve to be, and we're not going to be, because honestly, young women and fathers of daughters are awake now and they're woke.
Well, I did reach out to her office.
Yeah, whatever. It's bullshit. Rachel Hawk, are you saying Trump is making money illegally? Oh, absolutely. The amount of corruption. Does this mean the psycho libtards finally get it? I don't know. There's a lot of psycho MAGA people. Like I said, these MAGA people are always like, we support military veterans. I'm telling you, they're as fake as too. They're also retarded. Like I said, you go to the liberals and they get retarded when the word gender comes up. You talk to these MAGA people about race, they also get retarded. So it is what it is. But here we got two parts. This is where we unite the country. I'm telling you, this is where we unite the country. Now, I'm not saying, I've said this many times, the left and the right were different. It's like the Chinese. I don't have a problem with the Chinese, but we're different. The left and the right can unite in a short term. In the long term, America is going to split. But you want to know how you unite the left and the right? I'm telling you, if you're MAGA and you think this is just A-OK, then you don't understand nationalism, and you definitely don't understand the core values of why people serve in the military for duty, honor, country. This is, I've said, same thing in my book, this is our number one enemy that's destroying America. This video right here.
Bizarre footage shows the Starbucks CEO scrambling over their $9 coffee price, calling it an affordable premium experience, despite using some of the cheapest fillers in their drinks.
Regardless of what your income level is, what's less than $10 and I get a really premium experience.
Starbucks macchiato is hit with 7 times more carcinogens than any other bean. That coffee is burned at 480 degrees in factory vats, releasing acrylamide, the same carcinogen as cigarette smoke, then drained into plastic-lined cups, shedding 25,000 microplastics into every drink. That caramel drizzle is worse. Factory-cooked corn syrup, crammed with cheap fat sealed with potassium sorbate, the same preservative used in shampoo. Their Frappuccino and Macchiato both scanned 3 cheap emulsifiers tied to gut inflammation. Comment exposure to scan any food.
So what I want to do is just remember this. We could say the left are communists, so meaning they don't like capitalism. But if you're on the right and I support capitalism, this is not capitalism anymore, people. This would be described as global corporate capitalism, cronyism, insider oligarchy. This is not, again, I work for Amazon. This is not Amazon. What they want to do is destroy competition. Amazon is just one example of how they destroyed the small business entrepreneurs. But these people, and I want to get to this next point. This also goes to Elon Musk, but I'm telling you, it's horseshit on these people. But when you look and you think this system is capitalism, you are 100% wrong. This system, think about it, watch this. You hear this from dumb MAGA people. They say, David, the reason our capitalist system is not working is because we got all this woke stuff. We need to get out of that affirmative action, get out of that DEI, which I agree. I think it's horseshit, total horseshit. But let's keep going. And they're like, this system, if we just get rid of that woke liberal stuff, man, we're doing capitalism. And I'm like, no, you're a fucking idiot. I'm going to explain it. If you're in the 1%, like we just saw, the CEO of Starbucks, and oh, by the way, Elon Musk, if you're in the 1%, whatever we're doing in this system, keep doing it. Because I'm telling you, the top 1% are getting richer and richer and richer. I've seen it. Boeing and Amazon, they love China. You have no clue on what a dick you're taking in your ass with these corporations. They say one thing, they do another, and it's all about the money. But use common sense. How has this system in America for the last 30 years treated the top 1%? It's the best system ever. It's the best system. I mean, think about it. Even a guy like Donald Trump, I know I'm going to push on him. Donald Trump says, I mean, he's getting kind of weird too with this whole Jesus Christ. He's using sort of like these Jesus Christ memes. If you saw my ex, there were two other, I don't even know if they're AI. I hope they're AI, but he did two other stuff that made him look like Jesus Christ. It's weird. But anyway, let's use common sense with Donald Trump. He's been attacked, man. They're going after him. He almost died. Like all this bad stuff. Take a step back. Donald Trump goes to heaven. Eventually he'll die. He'll go to heaven. Oh, you go with me again. And whatever, God or whatever say, Donald, how was your life on earth? Well, you know, they were going after me and I almost assassination and the Democrat. I got it, Donald. But how was your life compared to the average American? The guy had multiple beautiful wives, multiple children. He's a billionaire, plus stuff. He's been the president twice. He's fame and fortune. I think we would agree that Donald Trump is a legendary man. Most mortal men will never even get to 10% of Donald Trump's accomplishments. So whatever Donald Trump says, this system's bad, the system's rigged, they're coming after me. At the end of the day, Donald Trump is in the top 1%. And this system that we have has treated him really good. Jeff Bezos, that piece of shit that I work for on Amazon, it'd be difficult if a guy like Jeff Bezos says, this system's rigged, this system's horrible, it's just screwed up, it's corrupt, they're going. This system for Jeff Bezos, whatever this formula is, because we're still trying to figure out what this formula is, it's worked out really good for Jeff Bezos. Really good. Elon Musk, same thing. They're coming after me here. They're trying to take away here, this and that. Which I think there's data that he could become the richest person in the world. So what am I trying to tell you here? The MAGA people say this system would just be better if we get rid of all that liberal woke stuff. What if I was part of that 1% group? I would be like, hey, dude, whatever this system is doing, don't fucking change it because I'm doing great. The problem is the 99% of you people out there are going to get fucked in the asshole with a big black rubber dick. That's how it is. So I wouldn't say that those, and that's what I talk about Donald Trump. If you look at Donald Trump, as positive I could talk to him about, when you're a billionaire on paper, just on that alone, it's very difficult not to be in that global elite oligarchy class. Because however Donald Trump complains or this economy tanks, him and his rich kids are still going to be eating steak and lobster in Mar-a-Lago. So I just mentioned that. We'll go here, but I can tell you something. When you say, no, David, the reason why we got away from this capitalism thing, it's just that woke liberal stuff. That's the problem, that woke liberal stuff. You would be surprised that this 1%, how much they're pushing that. Why? The same thing I talked to, almost like the Democrats in that same order thing. Communism for you, but elite class for them. Meaning the 1%, they don't want it. They change the rules, and we're talking the laws, to help them stay in power. So I don't think the top 1% would complain. I mean, really? Could you imagine? And who would listen to that bullshit? Hi, my name's Elon Musk, and I'm here to tell you my life sucks. It's horrible. They're coming after me and this and that. Elon Musk, I mean, by all facts, you have lived a much better, and we're not even talking about non-Western countries like people starving in Africa, stuff like that. And trust me, I'm not a liberal bleeding heart. We're just talking about Americans, even white American men, just white American men. Elon Musk, he's done pretty well. He's done pretty well. So whatever this system is doing, if you're in the top 1%, I don't think you're going to want to change it. And you think you're going to change this system by voting? You're going to vote and they're going to take their power out? Really? Do you? We're going to do a couple more videos. You'll see it. But let's go on to this one, which is about Elon Musk. And I'm about to tell you this is bullshit. I'm going to explain it real quick.
Paid $10 billion.
So this video is about how the top 1% pays too much taxes. You've heard this before. There was another FO by this Patrick David Bateman, whatever that. I don't think highly of that guy. I think he's a piece of shit, by the way. They know about me. I'm a military veteran, asked for help. But anyway, this same story of the top 1%, they pay so much in taxes. It's unfair. You're the bottom 99%. You don't realize how much money they pay in taxes. You've heard this story before. We're going to comment on it.
The largest individual taxpayer in history. So I paid $10 billion in tax, over $10 billion in tax. You're welcome. Like I sort of thought maybe the IRS would send me like a little trophy.
Thanks. So I'm supposed to say thank you to him. He can eat shit. I'm not going to explain it.
Or something. Yeah, like one of those doesn't have to be expensive. It could be one of those things you get for when kids win a karate competition. Like little plastic gold trophy or something like that, or a cookie or something, but I didn't get anything. It's and but I was happy to pay the taxes. I don't mind.
Okay, I'm going to explain this quick. You've heard this story before, this thing about taxes. And the top 1%, corporations, rich people, they always try to put back and they say, no, you're just an uneducated person. You don't realize the amount of taxes I pay. In fact, they like to make it sound like it's unfair. Proportionality, they pay more than you. And then they're like, I deserve a thank you. I pay so much in taxes. Now, there's two parts to do this. We're not even going to do the second part. The second part could be like all the tax write-off or the tax subsidies they get, meaning your tax money to filter in on. We're not even going to talk about that. We're just going to stick with leadership. Hey, Megatron, we're just going to talk about this, and we're going to keep it simple. Very simple. Leadership. The 1% says they pay too much in taxes. It's a burden. What? Whitney, like me, bullshit. You don't pay enough taxes. You need to pay more. And so they say, oh, so we disagree. So then I say this, okay, I believe you. You top 1% pay more taxes than we do. Or whatever, you even pay even, whatever they want to say. Guess what I'm willing to do? Then let's not pay taxes anymore. Because I'm telling you, this system's fucked anyway. And if you're in the 99%, screw it. Now, the horror would be, well, then who's going to pay for the police? Who's going to pay for the fire? Who's going to pay for the sanitation? I don't give a fuck. We'll figure out a way. But the point is, you ever see this chicken? You ever seen that in the movies where there are two cars coming at each other and you play chicken? Who's going to bail out first? Who's going to chicken out first? So the top 1% says, we pay more taxes. You should thank us. And the bottom 99% say, bullshit, you don't pay enough taxes. So we're in disagreements. So let's solve this. Zero taxes. Zero. Guess who will chicken out? The top 1%. The top 1%. Because they know it's the same thing. And I think Rachel Hawk said this with the technocracy. Who's pushing this universal basic income? The 1%. Why would they do that? Because it's sort of like, it doesn't matter how much money you have. If this system collapses, then that money's paper. And oh, by the way, your life could be in danger. So these people that built this system that have so much money, they don't want to see it totally collapse because that would be a revolution. So they want the system to be going just enough that you, the 99%, don't take violence into your own hands. So that's one reason universal basic income. Why? Because if you don't have food, violence is coming. So it's them push, not us. I don't like this idea of universal basic income at all. But they want to push it. Why? Because they don't want you to go violent. Back to the taxes. These 1%. So Elon Musk, bullshit, you don't pay enough taxes. I think I do. Then let's just get rid of taxes. So you, Elon Musk, pay zero tax. You're a capitalist, right? This should be the best thing since sliced bread. Zero taxes. Of course, zero taxes for the 99%. But they know it. If no one pays any taxes, this system could teeter. And I'm telling you, you could believe me now or you believe me later. If you think you're going to change this system by voting, you're a fucking moron. Don't worry. We have the best guru about to educate you. The only way this system is really going to be changed, because why would anyone give up their power? The system is rigged. They're never going to allow you to vote them out of power. Never. How did this country was formed? Well, violent revolution, George Washington. So that's why the 1% will bullshit you all day and say, we pay so many taxes, we pay so much. So that way you could be like, I guess so. Okay, fine, you pay a lot. I'll pay my taxes. Because otherwise, then fuck it. Don't pay any taxes. To the top 1%, Jeff, because these people don't pay their taxes anyway, people. They don't. There's so many scams to work through this legal system, they change the legal system. So then just say, fine, let's just not pay any taxes. And who should be the people that want this more than anyone else? Well, the ultra-capitalists. Who would be that? The ultra-capitalists. They won't do it. Why? Because they know at the end of the day, they need the 99% paying their taxes. However much money it is, we pay more into it. Where theirs gets deducted, moved around, invested, they don't pay their taxes. I'm telling you, people, because I would be willing to pay chicken. I don't pay my taxes. You don't pay your taxes. Let's go. And they won't do it. For the same reason, universal basic income. I'm not a fan of that. They are. Why? Because they know that if we ever get to the point where we don't have money for food, well, either they're going to have to give us money so we can eat, or we're going to go to guns and ammo. And my thought is, it's going to go there sooner or later. Don't think so? Let's take a look at some of the gurus to say on this subject.
If you believe in the two-party system, I'm not saying you're the dumbest motherfucker in the world. I'm saying you better hope the dumbest person in the world doesn't die. Because everybody thinks the other side's the problem. The neighbor, the driver, the guy at work. It's never you. Nah, you're fine. Everybody else is the idiot.
So about the voting system, not very good. Let's go one more time.
They tell you voting is your voice. Your voice, please. The United States has meddled in elections all over the world to install pro-West leaders, puppets, and useful dictators, and I'm supposed to believe the one place they'd never touch is here? Come on. These guys rig claw machines at the arcade. You think they won't rig a ballot box? You don't rig a system by changing every vote. You rig it by shaping the choices, the money, the media, and the narrative before people ever get to the booth. That's not democracy. That's a managed illusion.
You have to use common sense. This is what we do overseas. And this is what Donald Trump is hoping to do with Iran, but it takes power. We're going to do regime change. And we're going to install a puppet government that will be obedient to the American Israeli regime. But I just want to, I want that to settle in, because this is psychology 101. Watch how people treat one side, and that same behavior, it's going to come around. So how we deal with foreign nationals, foreign governments, you don't think that same type of ideology of tactics are used domestically? We do not free these countries. Even that, I should do a video on the Iraq war. We went in there. It's an occupied country now. And so the point being is you don't think we would do that the same in America, where the voting system's just rigged? Or at the end of the day, yeah, you could vote for whoever you want, but it's choice A, choice B, and they both work for the same party. You don't think so? Voting's meaningless. That's why I left America. But I'm telling you, sooner or later, you're going to realize that that's voting ain't going to mean shit anymore. And for anyone that's really proud about Donald Trump, I don't know, when is America going to get great again? Again, he's in his second term. He's in his year two, almost halfway through, starting a war with Iran. A total horseshit, this war with Iran. I'm just waiting on when America is going to get great again. And can we even define what that means? Talk to MAGA people. What is America great? Interesting. What I want to do is I finally end it here. Hi, Gong. I want to end it here, and just to show you that if we lose this segment of the population, you know violence is coming. And you already know my stance. I'm a West Point graduate, and I went to MAGA saying, I need your help. Can you help me? And MAGA's just basically shit on me. I haven't shown you all the response. 90% of the responses, it's been absolutely horrible. Like, why? I was like, why would you say that? Especially me too, because I was pro-Trump. You know, I'm pro-Trump, this and that. It's not good. You think I'm wrong in terms of military veterans? I don't know. We'll see.
Police, telling the police that you want to know why 22 soldiers kill themselves every day? It's because of crap like this. I served 12 years of my life in the United States Army. I had a lady trespassing on my property, and I tried telling the lady to get off my property, and she wouldn't do it. She told me that she didn't have to. She ended up calling the police, lying to the police, telling the police that I threatened her life and chased her with a knife and told her I'd kill her. This isn't true. Told the judge that I threatened this woman. This woman was 50, 60 years old, and they found me guilty. The woman admitted in the trial that she was trespassing on my property. America, you stabbed me in my back. They're trying to do this to me because I have PTSD. I'm sorry, America. The last time I checked, you wanted war fighters. You created us. You sent us to war. You wanted us to fight. And then you sit here and you stab us in the backs. I sweat and I bled, worked my ass off for everything on this uniform. This is what y'all make me feel like, America. Now look at this. Look closely.
So what I want to do, I see Rachel Hall, Gong, it's a big club. Rachel, America great again, regain our morals, bring back God, protect children, stop 1%. True, but these are subjectives. Where do you get this? I'm going to end this here on feminism. And because it relates. You ever hear this thing called MGTOW, men going their own way? I'm going to level this. What people didn't say, and I should have saved this for video, but I'm telling you because it relates to that military veteran. I've left America. Let this fucking place burn because it's got to get worse before it gets better. Here's my point. Women in America, you have checked out decades ago. You're no longer virgins. You're no longer traditional women. You want your right to vote. You want your power. You're not making kids. You're not listening to men. And in part ways, that's your freedom. But I want you to know, to the women, you've checked out. But this society in the West is still going along. Not very good. It's getting worse, but it's going along. What do you think is going to happen when men truly check out? When the construction workers, plumbers, soldiers, electricians, and they say, fuck this. This society's over. And I'd say one of the key elements is probably the military veterans. Why? Because we're trained in the art of violence. That's what we're trained to do. And during a revolution, that's probably a good time to do a pulse check on your military veterans. But I keep saying, I hear this all the time, like, well, right now we need to all come together and get along. You've heard that. And I'd say, I don't know. I'd say right now, either one, you need to check out like I did, or two, you better get angry. Why? Because sooner or later, you're going to lose your life, your family, your legacy. And for those of you that even have children, who says you're going to have grandchildren? This system's going to get worse, because we always have to remember, if you believe America is a great country, and I truly believe America was a great country, but the facts are the facts. America was founded through a revolution. And our founding fathers, they took guns and ammo to solve this problem. And I'm telling you 100%, 100%, it's going that way. Because I'm telling you, sooner or later, more and more Americans are going to become disillusioned with the politics, to include Trump. I'm telling you, the corruption. Remember the Epstein files? Like people look at me and I'm like, I don't understand why the politicians aren't talking with you. You must be lying. I don't know. Have you ever heard of something called the cover-up? Epstein? I mean, this stuff is going to happen. So the part of it, it is true that the more of this corruption or this embarrassment, more and more, particularly American white men, that is the nucleus of America, the American white men. What is their pulse? And part of it is they're checking out, they're leaving. Or two, they're going to stay, and they're probably going to get more and more pissed off. You would be amazed on what would happen, a small group of highly trained, highly formed men. And the point that I'm making is this part about state politics, militia, you're going to see that, because sooner or later, people are going to be like, there's no saving Washington, D.C. There's no saving the presidency. And it's either leave the country or you're going to get into state politics. And you're going to get a governor, probably similar like the West Point graduate Jefferson Davis of the Civil War, that you're going to start hearing rhetoric of, it is time to secede from the Union. Don't think so? Keep talking. But when like I said, I want you to use common sense. If you are in the top 1% of America, could you really complain how America's treated you? Even Donald Trump, as much as he complains on they're going after him, he is in the top 1% of legendary lifestyles. Multiple wives, multiple kids, multiple billionaires, I mean, you can't get a life. It's very difficult to get a life on earth to think, well, how can I do better than that? This America has treated Donald Trump extremely well. Do you think he wants to change it? Now, what's going to happen, and we'll end it here. I'll look at the comments. I want to end it here, but I want you to know something, and this is what you're going to see. You hear a lot of this word like the common people are going to raise up. No, I think a lot of Americans are shitbags. I'm going to be very blunt. I've said the same thing about China. I believe the difference between the Chinese government and the Chinese people, not that much different. I think you're really dumb Americans if you accept these Chinese coming in there saying, I'm against the Chinese government. I love freedom and capitalism. And you're like, I love you, man. We're all red, white, and blue. I would never allow them to become citizens. I've said many times, the Chinese people and the Chinese government, not much different. Now, Americans, the evil globalists, but the good hard work. No, I think American men, particularly white men, they've gotten weak. They've gotten selfish. They've gotten just, they've become atheists. They've just become, in many ways, the same type of characteristics that made America great, like our great founding fathers. I think it's lacking drastically in American men. So what's my point? Well, if you go back to the Revolutionary War, our founding fathers were not commoners. They weren't. They were also in the elite class. You know, whatever, slave owners, rich, they were in the connected class. Because if you are going to go up against the King of England, you cannot be a common man. It's very similar to, you look at China, the communist revolution, meaning the people that rise to power, these are also very connected. So it's the elites fighting the elites. That's kind of the history of mankind. So what you are going to see possibly is, I keep saying the top 1% is doing very well, but there could be a split in the top 1%. There could be a time where Donald Trump realizes that to protect him and his own, that this system might take him out. And that's why democracy's gone. You might see it from Donald Trump. I think he might get hammered in the midterms. I hope he does, because I can tell you, MAGA has just gone to dog shit. But I also think this whole talk about Trump doing a third term, a civil war, something, I do think it's possible Trump, and this is not saying good, it's not saying bad, it's just saying history, that what you're going to see, if you are waiting on the common American man to pick up his rifle and say, we're going to do an uprising from the grassroots level, I don't believe it'll be. I believe it'll be at that top 1% where there's going to be a split. And once that split happens, they realize that the Constitution, voting and everything, that's out the window. And you're going to see it from within. But I think anyone with common sense knows that this system that's been going on now for decades upon decades, even under President Trump, this is not working. Even down to like the tariffs. Tariffs aren't going to do anything. Not doing anything. And you're going to see Donald Trump, all these dumb MAGA people who are like, China's the enemy, China. Donald Trump is going to be like an ass licker. He's going to go to China and he's going to say, Xi Jinping, I love this guy. Because I'm telling you, it's all about the money. It's all about the money. But sooner or later, I do believe there's probably going to be a split with the top 1%, because we are living more in a globalist where there's going to be other entities. And I think that sense of a revolution, instead of it coming from the grassroots level, it will be from a very powerful source in America. You could say a 1%, where they just realize we're going to have to split. And then I think Americans, for the same reason that Americans realize that voting doesn't fucking matter and they just vote, for the same reason Americans will be like, hey, but the Constitution, you can't do that. The Constitution, go fuck yourself. We're doing what we're going to do. Okay. It's going to happen. Meaning, whoever's got a gun in their hand, whoever's got the food, whoever's got the power, that is. But this whole thing, but that's unconstitutional. That's gone. It's not gonna work. Let me look at comments, and if anyone disagrees with me, let's see how it goes. But again, I left America in 2010. Also wanted to be left alone. And now that Donald Trump's in power, like the FBI going to war with Iran, the tariffs, the economy, we'll see that. But there's one thing we do know, to include the cryptocurrency and everything. Donald Trump and his interior, to include his kids, have been making billions upon billions of dollars. They're doing very well. Because like I said, if you have sympathy for Donald Trump, look at him on paper. He's lived a great life. Just like Elon Musk, just like Jeff Bezos, just like these corrupt Democrats too. I mean, these people have lived a great life. So if you're in the top 1%, why would you change? The only time it would change is when the top 1% has that in it. It's like the mafia. It's like the Italian mafia. The only one that's going to take it down is from within the inside, when there's a dispute among the families. And that's why I look, the same reason the Chinese government is many times an internal mafia. I could see that in many ways too, like in America. Okay, let's go to some questions here. We have armed foreigners in our army. Sounds like a takeover. Either way, like I said, I mean, nothing is working. Even me as a military veteran, I'm going, I mean, think about it. What brings us together? We're not a Christian country anymore. Being a military veteran, that doesn't bring us together anymore. Capitalism. I mean, the only reason we're together is we just need money. We're in a corporation. White? No, the white race, that's racism. Even a lot of white people would say no. But you got to ask yourselves, what brings us together? It's very similar if you work in a globalist corporation. I've worked in these nobody really likes each other, right? It's like, hi, I'm working for IBM, I'm working for Pepsi. Hey, we're one big family here. No, we're fucking not. It's like, as long as I get my paycheck, I'll go to this shit corporate job. But if all of a sudden I don't have my paycheck, bye. And if I could get a better bye, we know that. The sense of loyalty and family in these globalist corporations, it's basically nothing. So the only reason that people are really in these corporations is a paycheck. So that's the only thing. And I think Donald Trump knows it. Notice I keep saying universal basic income. Where's that coming from? Why would the globalist elites be pushing that? These are the people, one, that are greedy. Why would they give you free money? Because they know this system's going to crash. And they said, we better give these people enough money. You're not going to get rich, but enough money that you're not going to revolt. Enough money that you're going to be able to feed yourselves. You know, what is that phrase? You're going to own nothing, but you're going to be happy. They just need to provide you with enough that you're not going to pick up a gun and shoot people. That's all they need to do. But otherwise, you would think that it's interesting that these 1% who don't really care about us, why would they be so much into giving us money? Well, first, they have so much money, it's unbelievable. But they want to give us enough money because they know there's only one way this system would really change. Guns and ammo. It's violence. Let's go. I'm looking at some on no Constitution. Yeah, I think the Constitution is toilet paper. Give it time. You're going to see it's toilet paper. They spy. I see Shane. They spy on us too much. I keep saying that about China. I'm not saying China's your friend, but if you're worried about someone spying on you as an American, I'd be more worried about the American government spying on you. Notice Donald Trump came in there. The number one issue that I brought to Chuck Grassley in 2007, the number one issue was FISA as it pertains to American citizens. And there are legal constitution scholars who agree with me. I'm not a constitutional scholar, but constitutional scholars agree with me. It's unconstitutional. And you would have thought Donald Trump would have said that, and guess what Donald Trump has done? The same thing that Obama's done, that they approved it. I'm telling you, at the end of the day, these parties are not very much different than you think. To include, I mean, how any MAGA can be like, yes, I knew when I voted for Donald Trump, now they're at war with Iran. This makes total sense to me. I voted for this. Really? You and I listened to a different man. We listened to different speeches. We have a different view of what America first. Maybe that's Israel first, the war in Iran. I don't see how that's America first, but I hope the military draft comes, though. I really do. I hope you get drafted and lead the way. You know, you fight for freedom. Fight for, just like we fought for Iraqi freedom, which is a joke. Yeah, go and die for the freedoms of the Iranian people. Have fun. Let's just look on this. I'm looking at better that the president, anything. I see Rachel, David, you will see an email from me that supports your prediction of the 1%. Yeah, that's what I do. I mean, I don't have a problem with the 1%, but I just want to educate people. If you think of our founding fathers, who I have nothing, I mean, I probably can have some negative things to say, but they're great men. And I'd probably say, if I said who is the greatest leader in America, I think that honor should go to George Washington. I mean, you fought for our freedom. You did a revolution. But news to everyone, and I don't care that they're slave owners. This whole slavery, we did it. We learned, we stopped, we moved on. I don't even give a fuck that they were slave owners. But my point being is, if you think they were these grassroots, local, I don't know what the word is. I'm not poor, but just those local. No, they were elites. Is that bad? I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you have to have power. I mean, if you're going to go against the King of England, you got to get some. And they were highly educated. They were rich. They had slave owners. They were high ranking in the military, but they had to be in that elite class. If you're going to take on the King of England, same things happen in America. If you think, because the common American man, and I don't mean to be rude, but he's an absolute schmuckatelli pussy. I haven't given compliments to the Chinese people. They're basically the same as the Chinese government. So if you're expecting the American common everyday working man to rise up and change the system, no fucking way. No fucking way. It's going to come from the top 1%. And I predicted this too with Donald Trump. The one thing I didn't predict, if you go back to my interviews, I predicted this with Donald Trump. I said, two things are going to happen, I believe. I said, if he's really going to change the system, either one, he's going to be taken out by the globalists. I didn't predict that he was going to become one of the globalists. I mean, his policies are deviating from America first. And I think maybe because he doesn't want to get killed, maybe he's been bribed, he's been compromised, he's had a talk to. But I said two things are going to happen. if he's really going to do America first, you go back to my interviews, either one, he's going to realize that the only way to change this system is guns and ammo. And he's going to start up through the military in a sense of fascism. He's going to suspend the Constitution, and we're going to see change. Or he's going to try that, and he'll be taken out. Two things. But if you think he's going to go in there and just vote, it's the same thing. What I wasn't prepared for is the war in Iran. And that's for Israel. Again, he's compromised or he's being bribed. The Epstein files, something is in there, people. I mean, you don't have to be in the FBI. Something is in there. So what he has done was, I predicted he was in president the first time and he didn't accomplish the mission. He didn't. He was in president the first time, same shit. And then I predicted if he's going to go in the second time and he's going to say, if we're really going to change this system with America first, he's going to have to suspend the Constitution, and we're going to have a sense of fascism. But to avoid violence, let the country split, or he's going to be taken out by the globalists. But I didn't predict, because he didn't say that, is him becoming a globalist, or at least his policies. And like I said, if anyone disagrees with this war in Iran, give it time. It's going to be complete, utter failure. Complete. And I did predict this. So I said, as much as Trump talks about fiscal responsibility, I did predict he's going to print. And this war in Iran, I think this war is up to already $30 billion US. I think it's more, by the way. I truly think it's much higher than that. I wouldn't be surprised if we're spending $1 billion per day just on operating costs. But anyway, this fiscal thing, and I think Trump knows that. Why? Because I think he has his crypto in store, whether it's going to be gold or crypto, but this US dollar is going to be done. You're seeing that. I can go on and on, but I see Rachel Hogg, my ancestor was George Washington's personal body. That's an interesting thing. That's a cool thing to go. Mighty Man, I like how George dealt with the traitors too. You know, it's just something. We don't teach that at West Point, but I see that if you see, West Point is beautiful. When I went to Harvard, I wasn't really impressed with Harvard's scenery. West Point is spectacular. It's absolutely spectacular. And there is a famous statue of George Washington on horseback in front of the cadet mess hall, which is sort of, I guess you could say, behind or in front of the parade field. It's a beautiful statue of George Washington. And I always remember that walking by him. I was like, you know something? He won the war and he's a hero. He's president. What if he would have lost the war? Traitor, hung, domestic terrorism, terrorist, criminal. You know, the point being is leadership is dangerous. And so if you want to make real change, it's dangerous. Otherwise, all that, remember Obama, hope, change, nothing. That's why. If you're really going to see change in America, get ready for violence. If you don't see any violence, nothing's going to change. Because again, the top 1% keep going. If you don't think I'm wrong, we'll see how it goes. Rachel says one time, you don't think Iran wanted to nuke us? Rachel, what's the point? I don't know, Rachel. Then I guess North Korea. Let's go to North Korea. North Korea's got nukes. Russia's got nukes. China's got nukes. A lot of other countries have nukes. I mean, is that what we're going to do? In fact, Rachel, we're the only country in the world that has used nukes on Japan. And my guess is the next country to use nukes, if I had to do a bet, my bet is going to be Israel or America. I do think I hope it doesn't happen, but I do think Trump is probably going to realize that if he does a ground invasion in Iran, they're going to get slaughtered. I really hope we do a ground invasion, though. I don't have sympathy or loyalty to the U.S. military. These people are government mercenaries. I hope there's a ground invasion, which would then pressure Trump to do a military draft. That is my number one choice. So don't fool yourself. I am pro-war in this Iran. Let this MAGA cult just fucking die. But Donald Trump may realize, similar like Japan, this ground invasion is going to be a meat grinder. Let's just nuke them. And Israel will be right behind them. Nuke them, nuke them, nuke them. And I think a lot of these dumb MAGA people would be like, well, it's the right thing to do. Let's nuke Iran. And I'm telling you, you start nuking other countries in today's world, everything changes. Everything changes. And if you're an American citizen traveling overseas, just like these dumb, stupid MAGA people, when I say there's a war in Iran, they say, it's not a war. It's not a war. It's not declared unless it's from Congress. You start bombing and killing people, and you're an American overseas, you try to explain that when you get kidnapped by the Iranians. You're like, it's not a war. We never went to war with you. Yeah, sure. You bomb and kill other people. You may not consider it a war, but guess what? The other side considers it a war. Stupid MAGA people. But anyway, Mashard, he says, are you MAGA cult? I don't know what the, yeah, it's a cult, Mashard. It's an absolute cult right now. I mean, these people, and the reason I say I'd be happy to do some arguing. Yeah, Mashard, it's an absolute cult. The point being, here's why it's a cult. Because here's the difference between a cult and an ideology. An ideology, you have an ideology that is separate from an individual. A cult will follow a person. The ideology behind America First was we will prioritize American interest first and foreign interest second. If you think going to this war in Iran because they have nuclear weapons and threatening America, that's not America First. And if you think it is, then if Trump does a military draft in America where the MAGA people have to get drafted to go off, then they should agree with the draft. But if a military draft comes to America, I would say at least 50% of MAGA people would say, fuck that, I'm not going to war. But these were the same cocksuckers who think it's a war. It's not America First. So Donald Trump campaigned on America First. Going to war with Iran, similar like Afghanistan, similar like Iraq, it's the same Middle East horseshit. It could be in the interest of Israel. It could be an Israel first war. I mean, I could see it. But from America, no, not at all. So again, if you are MAGA and you think this war in Iran is justified and it fits the America First ideology, then if a military draft happened in America, you should not have a problem. You should not have a problem. You should be able to pick up your rifle and say, this is America First, and I'm willing to die for it. I mean, I'm not going to get drafted. I'm not going to do it, but you do it. You do it and have a good time. Let me see. I see any comments. I'm MAGA, but not for Trump. I'm looking at the stuff, Rachel. Propaganda definitely plays a part. Oh, there's unbelievable problem. It's the same thing like the Epstein files. You got Donald Trump saying this. Let me tell you something. I don't even have to say whether Donald Trump is implicated or not. Anyone with common sense should know those Epstein files are important from a national. I'm not even talking about the criminality of pedophilia. That's important. I'm talking national security. There are so many nuggets and nexuses forming that's related to our U.S. government or persons of very high level interest in America. But to look at that, like if you were an FBI agent and the Epstein file went on your desk and you're like, nah, I got better things to do. This is not important. I would be like, this guy needs to be shit canned. Like picture that. You're a CIA agent, FBI agent, and boom, the Epstein file goes on your desk and you're taxpayer money paying their salary. Would you expect them to say, nah, I don't think anything's in here. Move it aside. Are you kidding me? And that's what Donald Trump said many times. The most retarded thing I've ever seen. That Epstein file needs to be reviewed over and over, just like a good intelligence analyst, because you miss stuff. You miss many things the first go around, the second, the third, the fourth. Why? It's a cover up. I mean, today, look at me. I mean, look at my thing. How is it possible that to this day, not one politician has responded to me? None. To include the FBI. You're telling me that's normal? Of course it's not normal. This happens. These are cover-ups. But anyway, let me go to Rachel Hogg propaganda. I guess the name is Marshard. You're going to hang your hat on Iran. Marshard, I don't know your views. I don't know if you're pro-Iran or not. Again, I'm in a very easy situation. I don't pay my taxes, U.S. taxes, and I'm not in the military. So it's not going to affect me as much. But this war in Iran, it's going to affect the U.S. dollars. It's going to affect the government budget taxes. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, I hope ground invasion goes. And if ground invasion goes, military draft is coming. And I'm going to love to see these MAGA people get drafted. And you are going to see probably, at the very least, 50%, a change of attitude very quick. Because again, if it's truly a threat to America's national security interest, you as a MAGA person should be willing to die for it. You just said it. Iran is of national security interest. We have to destroy this country. Otherwise, they will destroy America. Okay, if that's your logic, you should be okay with getting a military job. I don't think so. I look back when I was in the military with Iraq and Afghanistan, I call shots pretty good. When I was in the military, this was me as a captain, and I saw these other dumb officers. I'm saying this Afghanistan war and this Iraq war are going to be absolute failures. When I left the FBI and I was in the Harvard Kennedy School, which is an absolute cluster of special operations, intelligence, generals. And in 2007, when I was at Harvard, same thing, talking to these people. Afghanistan, we're doing good. Iraq, we're doing good. We're going to win this war. I said, no, we're not. It's going to be a complete and utter failure. You don't think Iran has any similarities to this? Or you think Afghanistan and Iraq are failures, but Iran, how do you think Iran is doing so far? I can tell you one thing. How is it making America look on the map? Think about our own allies in Europe. They don't even want to back us up. And I support 100% Trump backing out of NATO, meaning taking our troops home, 100%. It's time to bring our troops home. But if we were so right about Iran, why don't we have more allies besides Israel? Think about it. If we are so right that Iran is such a threat, why wouldn't we have more allies in Iraq and Afghanistan? Remember, because September 11th, which I thought, and I think now is bullshit. I don't think we know the true reading. But if you look at Iraq and Afghanistan, we had more allies. Except for Israel, we really don't have any allies in Iran. It's a good question. So they're all retarded. They're all enemies. They're all stupid. That's why. It's a good question. If Iran is such a threat, why is it that besides America and Israel, there's no other allies? Pretty interesting question. And like I said, I agree with Donald Trump defunding NATO. I agree with Donald Trump bringing back the troops. I agree. But it's apples and oranges in terms of NATO needing to support us in Iran. They're not. They're not. And if I was the European countries, I wouldn't do it either. It's not my war. I'm like, you Americans, you want to start wars? Have fun. We're not dying now. So I agree with NATO not helping us. But I agree with Donald Trump of defunding NATO. It works both ways. But anyway, we're going to see this thing because I'm telling you, this Iran war is going to go to shit. And this Epstein file, be very careful. Donald Trump, I truly believe, is a cover-up because Leadership 101, the best way to move on from a controversial topic is just get out in the open. Full Monte. It's never been. It's been hidden. And then Melania Trump, they're trying, and then she comes out and almost like to throw her husband under the bus to say, listen, she had no involvement. This thing's like a yo-yo, this Epstein thing. Once it turns into a yo-yo from an intelligence perspective, you know it's a cover-up. You know it's a cover-up. Because the best way to do it for Donald Trump to say, listen, I'm telling you, I am not implicated in this Epstein file, but, and he didn't say this, but I understand that this could be of national security level. We're doing a full investigation. We're going to get this stuff done. No, let's close it. No, now it's up. It's down. It's up and down. The Epstein file is going to come back to haunt him. Number one, the Iran war is going to be a complete and utter failure. Is there some other stuff? We'll give it time. But like I said, I think the MAGA people are just, they drinking the Kool-Aid. I've talked enough. I don't think we've got any more stuff. I appreciate your time. David Baumblatt from Terrabin Leadership. Let's see where this country's going. But like I said, I don't know if you're a military veteran, but a good question is, what is the pulse of military veterans? My pulse is my government has betrayed me 100%. If I am the anomaly, it is what it is. I'm a speed bump. If I'm not, and more people feel this way of our U.S. government, it's not good, people. I think it's going to get worse and worse. And I think sooner or later, this American empire, like the history book says, it's all going to happen. It's going to get worse and worse. And guns and ammo are finally going to come. Until then, David Baumblatt from Terrabin Leadership, telling the Patriots, lead to victory.